What's up, people? Welcome back to Invest with T Claus. My name is Tevi, and this channel is dedicated to my investment journey, along with coverage on crypto, Tesla, Neo, Virgin Galactic, and ChargePoint. Come for the information and stay for the perspective. So let me start by saying that I'm blown away by how many new subscribers have joined this week. We're now sitting at 437. The channel is up 43 subscribers in a single week. That's a first for the channel. So thank you all for helping me kick off 2023 in style. Now, I was initially planning to cover ChargePoint this week, which, by the way, posted a more than respectable 28.40% gain. You definitely want to keep an eye out on that stock as well. That said, Virgin Galactic nearly hit a 50% weekly gain before pulling back some. So in today's video, I want to talk about what news are behind this move at the macro and micro level. I'll give you my thoughts on where we could go next from here and close out with what I've done as far as buying or selling given the strength of this move. As always, this isn't to be taken as financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. This is my personal approach to investing and the thought process behind it. I'd recommend watching all the way through so that you don't miss out on any pertinent information I'll be sharing. Drop the video an early like if you haven't already, and hit that subscribe button. Those are two easy ways to show your support to the channel and help it grow if you appreciate the content. All right, let's get into it. So I read an article this week and I couldn't help but smile when I saw this line. And I quote, "The reason Virgin Galactic stock keeps climbing and so sharply is a mystery." End of quote. It's actually not. To those of us paying attention, we kicked off the week with an analyst rating upgrade, right? So Morgan Stanley, Kristen Liwag, you can see her profile here. She's a 3-star analyst, and you can see that she has a 100% success rate on Virgin. She's been pretty consistently right on the stock since she initiated coverage way back in May 2021. She's had a couple of hold ratings, but overall has recommended a sell while steadily lowering our price target since 2021. Up until just this past Monday. The upgrade comes with our first hold rating in over a year and a half and a $4 price target. Now, I clearly did the opposite of what she recommended and continue to do so because my time horizon on the stock isn't 6 months or 1 year, but actually 5-year plus. So the lower the price goes, the more I can accumulate, and therefore I've been buying. But anyways, the significance here is that you have one of the biggest bears on the stock turn cautiously optimistic. This was the first boost for the stock, driving us above $4, right? So that's reason number one. Reason number two, we talked about inflation last week, right? The entire market started moving up to front run what was largely expected to be good news. While the CPI and core CPI number came in exactly in line with expectations. The CPI was 6.5% and the core CPI was 5.7%. We saw some brief profit taken on Thursday once the number were released. That said, when you consider that the NASDAQ, for example, is still below its 200-day moving average, markets, generally speaking, have a bit more room to run to the upside. So with a favorable macro backdrop, the rally continued. Now, reason number three, where things really took off for Virgin Galactic specifically, is when the press release dropped also on Thursday in after hours tradings, right? They announced the departure of one of their execs. I'll link the full article release if you want to go and read that in details. But the key points are that we received confirmation that the work on VMS Eve did complete in December as planned. They are still on track for Q2 2023 for a commercial launch. And most importantly, the first test flight is actually happening next week, and all eyes are going to be on that one, right? Another thing I should mention is that the upgrade from Kristen Liwag was prior to this announcement, meaning that as I covered last week, sentiment around the stock is starting to shift. Essentially, no negative news to the plan only serves to further shift the sentiment in the right direction. I don't expect analysts will all rush and upgrade just yet, but they will, as Virgin clicks off successful test flights on the way up to commercial launch, right? It's worth noting that that parabolic move probably caught a few people by surprise, and what we experienced was a bit of a short squeeze. The short squeeze happens when the price starts rising quickly, forcing those betting against the stock to close their positions by buying the shares they borrowed, right? So it essentially creates forced buying, which then leads to more price appreciation, which then forces more buying, which essentially creates a self-feeding loop, right? Which is great for those of us who don't have short positions, not so great if you're shorting the stock because you're essentially getting wrecked. But anyways, I digress. With that, you now know why we moved up. The next question naturally is, will this continue? If you're bullish, the short answer is yes, as long as they stay on track. But obviously there's more to it. I've said it before, we don't move up in a straight line, so let's dive a bit deeper and let me explain what I mean. Looking at a technical chart for Virgin, we started the week at $3.69, then get the influx of positive news and punch right through the 50-day moving average. Last week, I told you that we need to get above $4.50, and the key, again, will be to stay above that level in order for us to turn the 50-day into support. Now, here's the nugget of information that is helpful in answering where we're likely to go directionally in the short term. The metric is the RSI, or Relative Strength Index. This is what technical analysts and traders rely on to judge when upward or downward momentum is reaching its peak. So what I'm looking at here is this little chart at the bottom. An RSI of 70 or above on a stock puts it in the overbought zone, and 30 and below, it's in the oversold zone. For context, in December, when we hit our all-time low, RSI was 23, meaning we were way oversold and a bounce was likely coming next. And that's what happened. Well, now we're at 72.35 with this last move, meaning that we're in overbought territory. Basically, the reason we didn't immediately push directly up to the 200-day moving average is because we have entered this overbought zone. Technical traders tend to exit or trim their positions once the stock entered the overbought territory and wait for a better re-entry point. Now, of course, we've pulled back a little bit already and we have the test flight next week, so we could technically move a bit higher, especially with a successful flight before the stock corrects some more. So as long as we can manage to stay above the 50-day post-correction, I'd say it's mission accomplished and the 50-day should be able to now serve as support as people continue to accumulate. Okay, so now let's talk about what I did this week. In my last video, I said, don't chase any green candles. And to be clear, you can do whatever you want. This is just how I think about it. So let's start with what I didn't do. I didn't sell or buy anything leading up to the CPI data release on Thursday, despite what was a positive analyst upgrade and momentum building into the stock. Why? Because a negative CPI number would have likely wrecked markets and given me a guaranteed lower buy points on Virgin. And a positive number would not be enough to get Virgin to or above its 200-day, which frankly would still represent a solid entry point if, like me, your time horizon is more than a week or a couple of months. And so Friday is when I actually got off the sideline and bought, but only after we hit some selling pressure from the stock entering overbought territory. I bought a total of 500 shares, further dropping my average. My buy points were $5.40 and $5.20. Yes, it's not the lowest entry point, but relative to my existing cost average and where I see the stock heading, these are still great buy points with an easy 100% return on investment built in. And that's when we hit the top of the range of the current consensus price target. As a reminder, that's $11, and I fully expect that we'll see at least that number by the launch of commercial flight, if not sooner. The last thing I will say is this. There are still plenty of reasons to be cautious over the next few months leading up to commercial launch. In the immediate term, there's more economic data dropping next week in the form of the PPI, or Producer Price Index. We have at least a couple more rate hikes, with the first one hitting in February. Earnings season just kicked off this past Friday, which should be indicative of the real state of the economy and the likelihood of an actual recession being formally declared. And specific to Virgin Galactic, we have several test flights to still contend with, and those frankly could go any both ways, right? So negative news at the macro level or resulting from Virgin Galactic's own lack of execution could drive us lower for longer. So even though I'm still buying, I'm only adding on pullbacks and being as surgical as I can be with those buy points. The bottom line is this. This week was a great example of what happens when sentiment shifts a bit more positively on Virgin without the broader market pressuring the stock down. In my experience, the only way to not feel FOMO leading to poor financial decisions is to have each position right-sized before momentum kicks in hard and drives the price up to what feels like it could get beyond reach, right? So I'm buying with conviction based on my long-term vision. And really, from the all-time low, Virgin Galactic, in my mind, has an easy 10x return on investment built in even before we return to the previous all-time high. That is something to think about. But on that note, that is it for me today. If you found value in my content, click that like button and share with others who you think could also benefit from it. For my newcomers, subscribe. It's free. And don't forget to ring the notification bell so that you too can stay in the know. I'll be back on Sunday for my weekly video. Till then, you can keep up with me here on Twitter for crypto and NFT related news. Thank you for watching. Stay humble, hustle hard, and I'll see you in the next one.